Hey friends, welcome to another episode. If you are new here, my name is Verona and I am a qualified mindset coach, nutrition coach, and personal trainer helping you do macros right with a little bit of fun, faith, food, and fitness on the show. So if you are somebody who is looking for all of those things, pull up a chair virtually or physically, bring your tea, bring your coffee, bring your water, your matcha, liquid or beverage of choice. Think of it as lunch with your favorite girlfriend. This is me, where we talk about all things nutrition, weight loss, faith, food, fitness topics here, and I tell you as it is. But today, friends, we are going to get into the do's and don'ts of eating healthy as a busy professional. So if you're ready, let's go. Hey friend, welcome to Lose Weight with Macros, the Basics podcast show with me, your host Verona. If you're somebody who's overwhelmed by all of the conflicting information out there, you're confused about how much protein you should be eating, how to count macros, you don't have time to figure out your macros, and you're sick and tired of repeating the same old boring meals because it is exhausting, you are in the right place. This Lose Weight with Macros Basics podcast is specifically for you. You're the woman who wants to learn how to track your macros and do it sustainably, do it in a way that you can enjoy your foods and you don't have to cut out your favorite foods, and we're not here for that. So my friends, if this is you, grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your water, grab your matcha, your notepad and pen, because today's episode is going to be a juicy one. So buckle up friends, let's get it. So when it comes to eating healthy as a business professional, this can be so challenging. I mean, you are on back-to-back calls, teams meeting after teams meeting after teams meeting. I mean, come on, some people just love scheduling meetings for the sake of it. I mean, like, this could have been a team's call or it could have been an email, bullet pointed email, get your PSO, get your PA to do it, and it could have been an informative email. And sometimes I just think people like the sound of their own voice. Not me. But jokes aside, when it comes to us as busy professionals, because hey, I'm a professional too, it can be challenging. It can be challenging. One of the ways that it can be challenging is, how do you find time to eat healthy? Now, a mixture of clients that I work with are from different spectrums. Some are really busy, some are busy stay-at-home moms, some are retired, all different aspects. No matter where you are welcome here and you are welcome to work with me as your coach. Go to the website vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/focus if you want to do a group coaching program with me, or the group coaching program that starts in November. You can sign up and join the waitlist. There's only 20 women at 20 spaces for 20 of you women. And if you want me to do this with you and you want to sign up for the mindset, specifically the CBT mindset focused nutrition coaching, which is a minimum of 4 months and it is a 6 months coaching program, you are going to need to put some skin in the game for this program. But you can go to the website vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/coaching and find out more information there. And you can also book your call with me, which is a free 15-minute call to see if this is a good fit for you and this is something that you are ready for. Now we're getting to the point where we are changing the way that you speak to yourself about yourself. So when it comes to us as busy professionals and trying to eat healthy and lose weight, and it's winter season and we just had soup and cozy sock season. I mean, oh my gosh, we want all of the things, hot chocolate, marshmallows, everything we want. With that, it can be even more challenging because it's easy to get caught up in work and forget to eat. I mean, you are just running on coffee or you're running on scraps of your children's plate. What they don't eat, you eat, because you cannot bear to waste food. But it doesn't mean that you're wasting food, because one easy fix that you could do is portion out your child's plate appropriately for their needs. Some of us, and I'm going to go here, some of us do have that insecurity and that fear, because when we grew up as children, and I'm included in that, we grew up with the poverty, we grew up with a scarce mentality. Some of us still have that in our thinking, and it definitely shows up in the way that we take care of ourselves. We would never see our children or those that we love or those that we care for, we would never see them begging bread. We would never see them go without. So we overcompensate for them, and we end up feeding them way more than they actually need in their little bodies, because we cannot bear to see food wasted, and we also do not want them to go through what we have gone through. Now that would be a whole different episode in its entirety if I continue to go down there, but that is just some of the context of some of the places that you can be in, and you running off the children's plate and copious amounts of coffee, you're not sleeping, you're getting stressed, and it's just inflammation upon inflammation. You're bloated, your belly looks like you're pregnant, you're getting asked questions, are you pregnant again? And you're actually not. And you see how exhausting and challenging it is, right? So when it comes to getting caught up in your work and all of those things, and which can lead to a whole host of health problems, one of the things that I can suggest and recommend is that you get moving. It's about finding time to move. 30 minutes in at least 3 times per week. Now 30 minutes, some of you could be like, what? Verona, do you know how much work I could be getting done in 30 minutes? But if you've clicked on this episode because you want to learn how to eat healthy, these are some of the changes that can be easily implemented into your day so that you start to see the reward. Now, some of you might be like, well, Verona, I don't even have time for that. What that doesn't mean is that you will not be healthy. You will be healthy, even if you are not doing any exercise initially at this point in time. So in today's episode, what we're going to do, we're going to be talking about some simple steps that you can take to make sure that your diet, when I say diet, I mean the way that you eat on a day-to-day basis, is where it needs to be, but especially while you're still working full time in your business, full time at home, whatever it means to you, you can fill it in the blank. So we've talked about finding 30 minutes at least 3 times a week. So one of the things that is key if you're somebody who wants to learn to eat healthy and you're busy is you've got to think about the small changes that you can actually make. Now, when we first start off on Focus on the Fat Loss or coaching one-to-one, whichever way you sign up to work with me, we always start off with goals because it's important to understand you have a plan. Setting yourself a plan and a direction of where you want to go. There's nothing worse than being led by leadership or leader, and they don't have a clue where they're going. There's no direction. Like, if you think of sitting in a meeting and just people are just sitting staring at each other's pretty faces, and it's like, okay, is someone going to say where we're going, what's the agenda, what we're doing? And if you're somebody who's a type A person like myself, we tend to naturally take the lead, not in the sense of, yeah, we're extroverts and we're going to take lead and listen to me, blah, 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 blah. I'm not talking about that kind of taking the lead. We are natural leaders. As a type A person and an IFJ, I can't remember what that is anymore, but introvert feeling, judging, IFJA, I think it is. I can't remember. But if you are that type of person and that type of characteristic, where we see a need for leadership, we will assume that leadership position. Not because we want to, not because we want to be, the showmanship of the show. We want to be head of the show. We want this meeting to get on the road because the likelihood is we've got things to do and we honor our time. So if you're that type A person like me, one of those things is the reason why I'm doing those goals is to make sure we know where we're going. There is nothing worse than not knowing where you're going and you're having to take up the leadership of somebody else. Now, there could be all different reasons why you're doing it and, why they can't be confident. They might not be confident to be able to do it themselves, etc. But we naturally do that. We see a need and we do what we need to do to fit it, to keep it moving. Now, this is the same aspect that I'm bringing into the coaching program, whichever way, one-to-one or group coaching, that we start off as we mean to go on. Because if we start off with me dictating to you, just giving you a meal plan, just Verona, tell me what to eat and I'll cook it and I'll make it. Unfortunately, friends, I am not the coach for you because I do not work that way. I'm not a machine. I'm not a dictator. This is not a dictatorship. I do not work that way. And here's why I don't work that way. So we're starting off with setting goals, and that's one of the biggest things that will help you determine the course of the action that your course of direction and the goals that you want to get, because there is nothing worse than all of you people being in a room being led and nobody is taking up leadership responsibilities. So we are learning how to be the leader of your own ship and to do it effectively, and that starts off with your goals, making sure they're realistic, making sure that they actually fit you, they actually fit your lifestyle, they actually work for you and your family, and they're not a little bit aloof, because sometimes we can make goals that are so aloof that we're like, what? Did I actually write that? So we're going to start off with goals as we mean to go on, and then in the group coaching we will be addressing your goals and just seeing how far you've come. And some goals will be long-term goals, sometimes will be short-term goals, some goals will be right now goals, and we will help you differentiate the difference between those. So there are things that you can do, especially starting off with small changes, small realistic changes that you actually can do. If you're somebody who feels like you don't have enough hours in the day, I'm not telling you to start doing HIIT training, high intensity interval training, because high intensity interval training, as it says in the name, is high intensity and it is literally intense. So not everybody is recommended to do intensity training such as this. I don't do HIIT training anymore because it is just too much for my body, and the fact that the damage, what it does to your body years later down the line, and research has shown this and it actually supports this, it is not worth the 20 minutes. Though it's 20 minutes, it is not worth putting all of that effort onto your body and taxing your body. You can do and have results in a longer time, but you can also through things where you're not having to jump up and down like a kangaroo. So this isn't something that we're talking about here when it comes to exercising. And so what you're learning to do is learning to increase things slowly. That's what I'm about here. If you're new here, I'm the coach that teaches you how to do slow and steady Eddie. Slow and steady Eddie is the mascot when we're doing coaching on Focus on the Fat Loss. So literally it's about finding the time, at least 30 minutes per day, 3 times per week, and working your way up towards that. Now, the next thing that you can do, the do's and don'ts of eating healthy as a busy professional, this one might be very, very challenging for some of you. Now, it is finding the time to actually cook. Now, it might sound obvious, but it's not always as easy as it sounds. Now, if you're like me, I do in fact work full time. I'm not doing the full time business just yet at the time of recording this podcast in 2022, almost October. Yeah, that's my goal. That's my vision. That's my dream. That's my plan. But God knows, slow and steady Eddie, he knows. So if you're like me and you're working full time during the day, then you come home to a family that wants dinner at night. Well, I don't have my family just yet. But if you are that woman where you are working during the day, then you go home to a family that wants dinner at night, and then finding the time to cook can be exhausting. Sometimes it can be hard work, and it's just easier to grab the nearest takeaway menu and then order and get it delivered to you, or you do the drive-through menu on your way home and then you just give everybody what they need to eat. So sometimes it can be difficult for you if you're trying to eat healthy and all they want is Chick-fil-A, all they want is McDonald's, all they want is fast food, their favorite foods. They don't want your bland salad leaves, and it's frustrating for you because you don't feel supported by your husband, you don't feel supported by your children, you don't even feel like they are trying to help you lose weight and help you do this before. That's why you failed all the other diets that you've tried before, because sometimes you blame your family. Now, it's easy to blame and apportion and put things and say it's somebody else's fault, but actually, unless they are force feeding you or we are in control of the food choices that we make. And we might not like that statement, but it is actually true. We might not know how to make positive steps, absolutely, which is why I focus on the fat loss is created. So if you're not there, if you haven't signed up, go and sign up via nutritioncoaching.co.uk/focus to reserve your spot and join us in that program. This is a group coaching program, so you are going to be needed to have some form of commitment to this, to your nutrition, to your health, and to finding some time to cook. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. I know many people don't like that statement, but it's the reality. That's how God designed a day, 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. And you or I cannot change that. No matter what influencer says that we don't all have the same 24 hours in a day, God created us 7 days a week to have a 24-hour day. That's it, 12 to 12. That's it. Now, the issue isn't that we don't have 24 hours in a day. The issue is what we do with our time and how we manage our time. Now, there are many things that could go into your busy days. Do you need to spend 3 hours doing some things that you do? Do you need to spend 3 hours watching Netflix? Do you feel need to watch 3 hours doing a particular chore? Is there a way that you can delegate this to other team members? Now, if you're somebody who is afraid of control, you don't like to let go, you don't like to delegate because your fear is, oh, they're not going to do it like me. Of course, they're not going to do it like you because they're not you. And the thing is, we need to learn to relinquish the control and allow people to be who they are, who God's created them, and do it with some form of guidance along the side. I will give you a tip for free. Do not micromanage people. I hate being micromanaged. I absolutely dislike with a passion, can you hear it in my voice, being micromanaged, especially when I know what to do. Now, there's a difference. Some people say, Verna, you've got issues with authority. No, it's not issues with authority. It's issues with being micromanaged. Simple as that. Micromanaging comes across as the person who is micromanaging is they are the ones that have issues with delegating and letting go of control, and that's a personal thing you need to deal with. Now, you're thinking about the other person on the other end. It makes that person feel incompetent. It makes that person feel not trusted. Do I not, like, why have you given me the job? Why do you need to supervise every single thing that I do? Now, as an employee who's been there several times, it is not a nice place to be in. But it's about how you can work through that, and that's something you can work through with your line manager and if you are your own line manager, that's something that you can work with on your own. But it's important to learn to trust your team and to be able to delegate. If you are somebody that's saying, I'm struggling with time, there are just not enough hours in a day, consider all of the things that you are currently doing, and do you need to be able to do them? And an effective leader delegates to their team and delegates well with the act of relinquishing control. And that's why you will have leaders, team leads, to be able to do that with, so they can do the work that you cannot do, you just don't have the time to do, but they're being able to do it. And it's hard. That's going to take time. This is not a business. This is, if you just tuned into this part of the episode, this is not a business episode. This is not business coaching. This is just real life coaching in terms of leadership, how you can effectively make more time for yourself to do the things that you need to do to take care of your health. Because no matter what organization you're in, if you're in a full-time employment with not working for yourself, you can be replaced. Absolutely. You might be afraid of Susie Q on the other side, and she is always coming in early, she's always leaving late, she's always being praised, she's always being promoted. Let me tell you something. The minute that Susie Q goes off for 6 months and she's sick, believe me, they are re-advertising her post. If you're trying to model what she's doing, No, that isn't a good and effective work-life balance. Now, I've gone off on a tangent here because I've gone into like some teaching about the workshops for well-being that I do with employers and employees to teach their employees how to do that. So that's why it's just kind of coming out naturally. But when you're finding these times to think, you're finding the times of what you actually do, where you spend your hours, what you do the most. This then allows you to see what things that you're spending time on that you don't necessarily need to be spending that amount of time on, if that makes sense. So recapping, we've talked about finding time to cook. We talked about finding 30 minutes a day to exercise. That could be walking around the block. And when it comes to cooking food, you don't need to cook your own food. That could be a mixture of HelloFresh. And if you are in the UK or the US, you can download the HelloFresh boxes, and they are convenient. You choose your meals and then they get them delivered to you. You get delivered the ingredients that you need to cook it. The children can get involved with all of that, and that is fantastic to do as a family fun activity. Now, there are so many different things that you can do, so many different recipes. When you sign up to Focus on the Fat Loss, you get your Focus on the Fat Loss recipes, access to high protein recipes. Everything is in the program. So these are some options that you can do when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to do's and don'ts of healthy eating, one of the things that you can do is also find out what your nutritional needs are. Now, many of us are oversaturated with saturated fats, carbohydrates, proteins, foods. We eat more food than we need. Now, hear me what I'm saying here. I am not saying to you, oh, wow, Rona just said it, we eat too many carbs. Of course, we eat too many simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are the carbohydrates that break down into sugars into our bloodstream very quickly. Complex carbohydrates do the same thing, but they break down slower, meaning they give us energy for a longer time period. Have you ever been in the office where you're like, I could do with something sweet. It's about 1 p.m. I could do with something sweet right now. You're not reaching for fruit. You could get fruit and still have the same sweet feeling or sweet satisfaction. I could do with something for sweet, but no, what I want is this. Yeah, let me go and get this. So you go and get this sweet or these sugars or the donuts, whatever else, and then you're on a high. You're almost like the Energizer Bunny. Then you're jumping up and down, full of energy, full of beans. Now, when it comes to nutrition, one of the things that we're doing, aside from goals, we are focusing, especially on Focus on the Fat Loss. We go through what your body actually needs. Now, it's more than calories in, calories out, or just a number, because your body is not just a number crunching machine. That's more like an accountant or a calculator. Now, macros, calories, counting macros are key components to being successful when it comes to your nutrition. Now, not everybody needs to count calories. Not everybody can count macros. There are some women who don't count macros, who have tried it before, tried counting calories, and it's just been too excessive for them. And this is not you. But if you are the woman who has been listening to the show for a while and macros has intrigued you and you want to know personally what your macro numbers are, then Focus on the Fat Loss is where I will do this for you. Also, if you don't want to join Focus on the Fat Loss, you don't need group coaching, you don't need accountability, you don't want a community of other women doing this with you, you can do this on your own via nutritioncoaching.co.uk. You can eat. That is where you will be able to download your personalized macros count, and you'll get all the information on there once you sign up, and it will be downloaded. It takes a couple of days for you to get your macros numbers from me, because I am personally doing them for you based off of the information that you give me once you complete the form, and that's based on one-to-one and all aspects of coaching with me. Now, when I'm calculating your macros, what this is doing is taking into account your current stats. Literally, I put on my mathematician hat and I'm going deep when it comes to macros. You don't have to worry about all of these numbers, but in Focus on the Fat Loss, one of the things that we do towards the end is teach you how to change your macros, teach you how to track your macros, because once the coaching is finished, you can choose to stay on month after month, but once the coaching is finished, you can choose to do it again, but you will have the same material. There won't be new material that you will be getting that somebody else won't be getting, and vice versa. But once you have finished, and once the program is finished, it's about teaching you how to maintain your results and also to track your macros, because you're not going to stay on the same macros for the rest of your life. And 40 30 30 is not the suitable option for everybody. Some people like to have 50 50 50. Well, that's not 100, but 50 50 50 20 30. It's so many different variations, and it all depends on you and your body. And that is why I do the in-depth macro count, personalized for you, the customized approach. And that's where we're focusing on that, really, to find out what you need, when you need it, how much you need of it, and how to do it. Now, here's one that can be a challenge. Meal prep. Meal prep can be a challenge. So when it comes to being able to meal prep is Key, it's a game changer. So meal prep and preparing your meals in advance is a great way for you to save time. So if you're somebody who says, I don't have time, meal prep is one of those ways that you can begin to save time. And it's important to have the right tools to prepare your meals. If you're somebody who is not going to coach with me, but you want to be able to take part in this meal prepping book, go over to Amazon and download the book that I created. Actually, you can go to my website and get it, vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/cookbook, and you can download your personalized copy. So in there, I'm talking about the things that you need when it comes to meal prepping and how you can meal prep, how you can stay organized, and all of those fantastic things. But meal prep, my friends, is key when it comes to how to eat healthy, especially when you're busy. Now, let's talk about socialites. Let's talk about you who are smoozing and you've got to go and show your face at events. Now, if you're somebody who attends socialite events or social events very, very often, this is something that can be a little bit of a sticky point, because if you're trying to eat healthy and your history with dieting says you cannot eat out, you cannot eat this, you cannot eat that, it is hard to break free from that mentality and mindset if you've been entrenched in that for a number of years. Now, many of you might be listening and you have been dieting from the young age of, tragically dieting from the young age of 7, 8, 9, 10 and upwards. No child should ever need to be put on a diet at that young age. I don't even know how they managed to be signed up to a diet in the first place. Obviously, those times were a little bit before my time, but no child of mine would ever be on a diet at that particular age now. And it's no disrespect to you if you have put your child through that and you're listening to this and you feel you regretful. You know what? We can always get forgiveness and we can always repent and ask God to forgive us. There's no guilt or no condemnation here at all. But it's about what can you do now to help change those things. If you're continually saying to your children, you're fat, look at you, you're putting on a bit of weight. If you're going to say that and you don't know what it's going to do to your child, keep your mouth quiet. Don't say anything at all, because sometimes we think we can saying things and it's helping a person when actually it's not. And the worst thing is, if you're overweight, more overweight than your child, even if the child is young or even if the child is an adult child, whichever form of child your whichever stage of childhood your child is at, it's irrelevant. But if you're saying you're putting on a bit of weight, and you're gonna eat all of that, hey, you're gonna eat all of that, you're getting a bit porky, ain't ya? Cockney accent, Cockney rhyming slang. Stop saying things and you're overweight, more overweight than your child. Stop, because all you're doing is verbally abusing your child, and that is sticking. Where they say this, do you remember when they used to say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? That is absolutely false. Words stick, and they can stick like mud, and they can cause rejection. They can cause so many different things that you do not know that you have caused just by the power of your words. So be intentional about the words that you speak, and be mindful of the words that you speak about yourself and the behaviors that you're modeling for children that are coming up underneath you. So attending social events. Let us talk about what I was going to talk about. It is almost impossible to avoid eating out or going to a social event here and there. And Christmas is coming, Thanksgiving is coming, all those things are coming up. But if you're somebody who's looking to eat healthy on the go, we'll talk about this. The outgoing guide is included in Focus on the Fat Loss. But one thing you can do is eat before you go. You know what we used to do, especially diet culture, we used to save space. Christmas, you might remember doing this at Christmas, and you might remember doing this for birthdays. You know what? I'm making space. So you eat the littlest food possible during the day, then you're saving space. But what actually happens is you're so hungry, you're so ravenous that you just look like you've not been fed in a week. All your manners goes out the window. You finish your food before everybody else. Then you're ordering more. Then you're eating more than your body needs. And if you're doing this 2 or 3 times a week, it's no wonder that you're gaining fat, because when we're constantly eating more calories than our body needs, that's when we're storing those additional calories that the body doesn't use as fat, my friends. So a couple other things when you're going to social events: bring your own food, bring a Tupperware to take home and take away too. Don't be ashamed to bring your own food. Bring it. You don't need to justify it to anybody. If they're inviting you, bring your own food, especially if you've got dietary requirements. You might be able to let the person know politely, just say, this is what's going to happen. One other thing you can do is also making sure that you are staying. Oh, my air freshener is back, friends. It says hello. One other thing that you can do is to make sure that you're staying hydrated, because it's easy enough to just bring water bottles along with us anywhere that we go, and make sure it's not, only sugary drinks, but make sure it is just actually pure water, because that helps you keep hydrated, and it helps you when it comes to social events. And of course, enjoy the social events and enjoy the food that you're having. But when you're focused on the fat loss, what you're doing is you're focusing on the tools, and that's what I show you. I give you the tools to be able to manage and attend social events without that anxiety as to, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And the next thing is you don't have to drop everything to eat healthy. And that's what we think when it comes to working as a full-time mom, woman, boss lady, whatever you want to call yourself. It is possible to eat healthy whilst you're holding down a full-time job and a home. And the good news is it doesn't take any more time than it does if you were eating Wendy's, Subway, Dunkin' Donuts. You fill in your favorite food place here. If you think about how much time you spend sitting in front of your screen all day, every day, apart from Saturday and Sunday, unless you do work on the weekends, this will probably be a welcome change for your body. Your body will love this change. And here are some tips that I can give you to help you stay on track. Get your meals ready ahead of time. So you only need to heat them up or add a bit more ingredients before you eat them. This way, if something comes up and you have to leave work early or you need to arrive late, at least your lunch isn't going to be bad. Keep some snacks around. Fruit is the best. Fruit is amazing. Don't be afraid of fruit. Fruit is good, friends. So that when that hunger hits in between meals, there's something available without making an extra trip out for fast food. No shame here if you do that, but this is the way you can start to implement small changes. And we talk about this in Focus on the Fat Loss a lot deeper. So in wrapping up, friends, because today's been a whirlwind of an episode, the key to eating healthy as a business professional is to find what works for you. And that is the key thing. Finding time for cooking and preparing meals may seem overwhelming at first, but don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you from trying something new. Eating healthily or eating balanced, nutrient dense foods, including your favorite foods, including a glass of wine, your cheese, if that's your thing, doesn't need to be complicated as it can often be made out. One of the key things that I can give you to take away from this episode and put into place and put into action, because did you know there are now 96 days left at the time of recording this podcast? It's like, whoa. And at the end of this week, it will be 90 days. There will be 90 days left in this year, 2022. Have you made a goal to lose weight at the beginning of the year? Are you carrying over the same weight loss goal that you had in 2021, 2020, 2019? You get the picture. If you have been carrying the same weight loss goal and you haven't done it, now is your time to do it. We start in November. vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/focus is the way to go if you want to do this with a community of like-minded women to start your journey to change. The doors are open. There are some spaces to work with me on a full-time or one-to-one basis if you want the mindset focused nutrition coaching, because it is your mindset that causes you to sabotage your weight loss results the most, and we would dig deep into that. vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/coaching is where you can find out more information and book your coaching session, your free discussion call with me to find out a little bit more about you. You find out a little bit more about me, all in 15 minutes, and to see whether or not this is the next step. This is the right next step for you. Wherever you are at, do not enter 2023 with the same weight loss goals, especially if you have the opportunity to make a change now. You can make small changes. Go out and buy some salad. Have some salad. If you're having a hamburger, add extra salad in it. I'm telling you, that is small changes. If you're somebody who doesn't like the idea of just restricting yourself and doing all kind of things so quickly, do that. Might sound silly to some, but this is a small, realistic change. And you might be like, oh, I can do that. Then you're going to be finding, right, I can add some tomatoes now. And then maybe I can make some minced meat and then some whole grain tomatoes, whole grain spaghetti or pasta, whatever it is. These are small basic changes that you can do to what you can add to what you're already doing to make it great and to help you maintain it. And that's what we're talking about in one-to-one coaching and Focus on the Fat Loss. So my friends, if you're ready to do this and you do not want to enter January 2023 with I need to lose 10 pounds, you may need to lose 10 pounds, but let that be because that is the last remaining that you've got to lose, or you want to lose 10 pounds more. But don't let 2023 start and begin and you're carrying the same weight loss results from 2022, the weight loss New Year's resolutions from 2022, 2021, 2019. You get the picture. Start off now. 90 days, 96 days as the time of recording this podcast. When we hit October, it will be 90 days. I can't wait to catch you and can't wait to see you sign up so that you make your change now. Friends, it has been amazing, but this is the episode of Do's and Don'ts of eating healthy as a busy professional. If you've got other busy professional sister friends that can do with this episode, send it through to them, and don't forget to leave me a review over on Facebook, www.facebook.com/VA Nutrition Coaching. Leave a review over on the page. Let me know your thoughts. If you're loving the podcast, you're hating the podcast, it's not a great podcast, you're loving this particular episode, leave your reviews, and I can't wait to catch you in the next one. See you soon. Hey friend, you made it to the end of the episode. What was your biggest takeaway from today's episode? Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review over over on iTunes. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's episode, or you need help, then you can contact me over on Instagram at VA Nutrition Coaching Podcast, or email me support@vanutritioncoaching.co.uk, or you can head over to the Facebook page VA Nutrition Coaching Podcast. It helps us reach even more women who are fed up of dieting, don't know how to lose weight, they're frustrated with following Sally's results and they're not getting any of their own, and they just finally want to shed some pounds and do it in a way that they can sustain and they can enjoy. But my friends, that's a wrap for today's episode. I can't wait to catch you on the next one. Until then, friends, stay healthy, stay blessed, and remember, if you haven't already downloaded your 5-ingredient recipe pack, you can go to the website vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/recipes and download your 5-ingredient recipe pack. Who said healthy eating was boring? See you next time, friends.